What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Stationeers. When we left off on the last episode, we were still kind of fine-tuning the hydroponics stuff in here, and I think we've got it pretty good. So I turned the pressure down a little bit. I think it's around 18 or 20 kPa or something like that to, maybe not. I'm not sure what I have it set to, actually. Let's stand over here for a second. What's it go down to? So about 18 or 20, maybe, I think, is what it's actually set to. And that basically is to keep it, because I looked up online and there was this whole spreadsheet thing on, like, the plant's not actually needing that much pressure, so I figured it would kind of help us level out how much CO2 we were using. I could always turn that up a little bit more, because it's obviously not okay for us, but at the same time, it's not really that big of a deal either, because, you know, the room is essentially saturated with CO2. There's not much air in here, so we probably wouldn't be walking around without our suit on anyway, so having the pressure be different really doesn't matter. I grew some more soybeans as a test of this newer system I have set up. You can see I cleaned up the room a little bit. I put down the floor grates, covered up the walls. I added some wall lights over here as well. I kind of just tied them into the existing power line system. I didn't really run, like I could have put one over here, but I would have had to tie into this line, and I wasn't sure how much of the wall I wanted to take out and stuff to do all that, so I just kind of left it. But I'll probably put a light here and here eventually. I don't have my suit light on, so this isn't too bad. I'm waiting for the corn. Okay, corn finally grew. This takes forever. So everything is growing. Now, there is a couple of points. This I just didn't fill, or I already harvested them or something. This guy over here is a bit of a problem because of this. So I'm not really sure how I want to fix this. I could move it up maybe. I don't know if that'll affect it or not. But essentially what's happening is when this turns on and it pulls the air out, it sucks all the pressure out of this cube, like this squared area. And so for a brief moment, the plant doesn't have any air. And when that happens, it starts that whole decaying process. But then basically if you don't fix it, like if the cycle keeps going, it just kind of keeps chipping away at it. And eventually, depending on the plant, it usually dies before the plant actually grows. So I can't really use that spot right now unless I reconfigured this. But for now, this is soybean, right? So we'll get our soybeans back, which is that right there. It'll, as you can see in this square, now we're at 0 kPa until it clears enough of the room that this kicks on and fills the space back up. So that keeps killing the plants in that one spot. And I'm not really sure how I want to resolve that without, you know, redesigning the whole thing. I'm also not sure what the ferns do. That's not really all that clear. What is this? What is this stuff? Split stack. What is this? Iron sheets. Oh, they changed stuff. Okay. Yeah, I forgot all about that, actually. There was a pretty major update that went through. It didn't change anything too crazy. I'm actually going to plant these back because I think we had one corn left after the original testing of the hydroponics room. So I think we're going to try and repopulate our corn supply. Now, that does actually bring me to some of the newer stuff in this update. Let me set this up real quick. Because they actually changed, well, I should have probably looked at this first. They changed the block types, or the models of the air coolers and the wall heaters. That's probably the biggest, like, change that's altering already existing blocks, is they changed those. They also added, I think, I'm pretty sure this was all in the same update, but they also added some newer stuff like cosmetic blocks for different things. Oh, there's ferns. Put those in there. Put those in there. Okay. So let me see. Oh yeah. My headlamps are off. And I also have a couple of things to show you guys outside that I changed to, but we should be able to check here and see some of the newer stuff. We have chemistry station. Where'd it be? I think it's some kind of new wall stuff that's basically a cosmetic wall type. It doesn't actually seal the room, so it's not for composite cladding. Here we go. So for floor and I guess floor and wall. I don't know if there's any other types, but actually let's maybe do a couple of these. Let's do one there, and then let's do a floor one. What was that under? Construction kit or item kit. So let's see what those cost. So that's just one iron, not a big deal. But yeah, these are essentially like cosmetic blocks, as far as I can tell, where this stuff is to actually seal off things, and that's one iron too. They also changed, what was it? It was some kind of wall kit, like iron wall kit, or the floor grades or something. Where it was costing more in the fabricator than it was in the auto lathe, and I think I noticed that and I just didn't really care. I figured it was normal, but apparently that wasn't intended, so they changed that as well. But as you can see, we have a paneling here for like a wall, but it's one of 13. There's a bunch of different ones. So there's spherical, there's corners, so it would kind of be more Space Engineers-ish, or I guess even Minecraft-y. But we've got cylindrical, rounded corners, rounded, long angle, mirrored corner. So yeah, lots of different types of things for those. And then the floor grading, we have 1, 2, what is that? That's different. So yeah, so that's kind of cool. I don't know exactly. Let's experiment here for a little bit, because I haven't messed with these blocks at all, so I'm kind of curious myself. Actually, is this the same thing? Oh, they are the same thing. Oh. You can just change what they are now. So this is the default, and then they have this one, which is kind of interesting. And they have one that's got more of a ridge, but it looks to be about the same like that. Give me one of these guys real quick. We'll test out these different floors and see what we like. I think I actually kind of like the original probably the most, to be honest. It's kind of funny when they add stuff like that, and then you're like, I kind of like the way it was. It does have some purpose, though. Like, I like how this is more of a squared off, like a flat type thing, and then you could have this as kind of like a monitor, so you could check circuit chips and things like that. So this one's kind of cool. This one's not too bad either. I don't know if I can see a reason why I personally would use this one other than maybe a ceiling. Or I guess maybe a wall. You could use it as a wall type thing, I guess. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. Add some flavor. I didn't realize it was the same because they changed the name of it, so I didn't realize it was actually the same floor grading that we're used to seeing. Now these, I don't know if this is going to work like... I think this is going to end up working like the walls where you have to have iron or something to fill them in. Let's just try a panel real quick. Oh, no, they don't. Okay, cool. So, and what takes this down? I think they said it was the angle grinder. Yeah. Okay, so if I were to just put this down. Oh, okay. Oh, and it's flat on this side. That's cool. So yeah, essentially... Oh, and these can be painted too. That's the other big thing, is that those can be painted. So basically, it's like if this is your structural stuff, you've got the iron iron frames, and then you've got iron or steel walls. Those will actually affect atmospherics. They will seal a room and make them airtight. These do not. So the idea would be if you have a room kind of like this where it's already sealed, you could then take this and then go on the outside and add them and put curves and different things, and it would kind of make them look fancier. But it doesn't actually. And you know what? We might let's make a few of these. Let's make like 10 of them, because I think I have a little bit of a iron surplus for now, so we can spare it, I think. Especially since they only cost 1, that's not really a big deal.
Power low.
Let's make like 10 of them. And let's check real quick. I want to see too the iron frames. No, I think it was walls. Construction kits. Where are they? I always forget where they put these iron walls. And then there's construction kit walls. I think... Oh, and they changed the thumbnail on these. So they changed a lot of the thumbnail type stuff. A lot of the art kind of thing. Actually, I'm not going to do that because it's going to make one. I probably could just look it up on the little tablet. E-reader, I think. Getting all confused here. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Ingot. Where is the wall? Iron frames in an auto lathe is 4, so maybe they didn't change anything. I forget what it was. There was something. Maybe it was iron sheets. In an auto lathe is 1. Steel frames are only 2. Steel sheets are only 2. Iron kit wall is 1. I think that was different too. I think that was something else. And we need, not auto lathe, but we need fabricator, because they changed it in the fabricator. That was the one that was overpriced, I guess. If I can find it. Iron frames is 4, sheets is 1. I don't see the other ones. Ooh, what is that? Conveyors. Ooh. There's actually a ton in this game that I have not actually gotten to messing around with, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I think that was, I was expecting that was just how they wanted it because the fabricator could do different stuff, so it was just okay. Apparently not. Apparently that was not the thing. Now, the one thing I like about these cladding things is that you don't actually have to have more sheets. When you put up like an iron frame or a wall, you then have to go put up more things, and this one doesn't, so this is cool. But I'm gonna basically go out here to test this out, but I also wanted to show you guys something else. So like, this is a pretty good example. This doesn't look good. This is kind of gnarly, and I don't even think I need these. I put them up to kind of do what the claddings are supposed to be. I'm gonna risk it and take these down because I don't think I need these, and it would give me back some of my frames or my wall kits, because this is all sealed in iron frames, so they should be airtight already. Okay, so I was playing around with some different stuff with this because I didn't want to kind of experiment on camera, and I found one really important aspect of this, and you have to look very closely at this. If you can see it right here in the bottom left corner, the one side of the block is flush with whatever block you're pointing it at, but if you look in the top right, there's part of it that overhangs. That's going to be the part that connects to anything that's above the next block. For example, we're putting it in here, but anything that's up above on this block, or rather this one, if I can get the, yeah, in here, that little groove up there is going to connect to. So for example, I've got panels up here that I was playing around with, and if you'll notice right now this actually connects, but if I were to flip it and then rotate it, now if you look really close, if I can get it up here. There we go. Let's just do that. Now you can see that it doesn't actually match with this. You get this little groove in here. And then you get this little overhang here. So that's something you really need to pay attention to when you're, you know, kind of playing around with how you're going to do stuff. For example, what I'd actually like to put here is maybe a curve. But I wasn't sure if I could do that. Now I think I can. So if you'll notice, we have the rounded... Let's try rounded corner. Oh no, I can't do rounded because of this guy over here. If I do rounded... Okay, so I was going to do an angle. So let's try an angle. There should be an angled corner. That's angled, long angled corner. There we go. So what I'd like to do, if I can spin it this way... I'm having a Space Engineers issue where I can't remember what button rotates it the right way. And I'm finding all the wrong ones! I want it to spin in its place. Why won't it do it? Oh, this is so frustrating. I cannot... Alright, there's only 6 combinations of buttons. Why? Rotate, left and right. Delete. So I don't want it to do it that way. There we go! Finally! Alright, so I kind of want it to do that, but it looks like I can't... Because I want the angle to go that way, and I want it to go down. But it looks like this isn't designed to meet that way, because I'm not getting the lip up there. So, if I were to rotate this, because we know I'm so good at doing that. Let's see. Seriously, now I can't get it to do what I want. There we go. So if I had it this way... And then put it like that? No, that's not what I want to do. I don't think this is going to work the way I wanted it to, because I wanted the angle to go this way and that way, and then be straight over here. And I don't think this block is really designed to do that. Maybe a long angle corner? Would that work? I have no idea. Let's see what this looks like. Again, if I could ever figure out how to spin this stuff correctly. Why is it every game has to make this so complicated for spinning things? Alright, left and right. Just rotate left and right. There we go. Alright, that's not really what I was looking for. Because basically I've screwed up the design. This is a me fault here. This isn't really the game. This is a me fault. Because I got this stupid block here that's just open. If I close that block off, it'd be different. So we'll probably just leave that for now. And we'll fix that in a minute. But what I actually wanted to show off too while I'm out here is I have my jetpack on, didn't mean to. Why is this? Oh, that's a wall. Okay, I was like, why is that a different color? So I've set up something kind of tricky over here. It's a little dirty. Some of you probably already know what this is. So essentially, I've got 9 grams of silicone in here because I looked up on... Now, this is why I don't feel this is very cheaty. Some people will probably see this as cheaty. The reason is I looked it up, and I cannot find a single thing besides myself that consistently generates CO2. Volatiles don't. What was the other one? Oxides don't. Ice doesn't. Like, smelting some things did, but you had to smelt them a certain way or use the furnace or blah. Like, there was no just, like, plants give off oxygen. And I don't know why people keep commenting. I don't know if I'm saying this wrong, but people keep commenting on, like, plants don't use O2 and give off CO2. It works the other way around and blah, blah. And I'm like, I know this. I feel like I've said it like 4 times that they use CO2 because we breathe out CO2. The plants breathe it in, and they breathe out O2, and then we breathe that in. It's what kind of circle of life type stuff. So I don't know why people keep commenting, telling me that, you know, they don't do O2, and I'm like, yeah, I know that. So I don't know if I just misspoke and said it wrong and it worked differently in my brain. I don't know, but just to put that to bed, I am fully aware that plants breathe in CO2 and breathe out oxygen, and we work in the opposite direction. So now that we put that to rest, I have not found, other than smelting, like, I think it was silver had the best ratio of stuff. But even that, if you can't find silver, you're out of luck. And the plants are going to constantly use it, much like we use oxygen every time we breathe. So, as far as I'm aware, unless there's something different that I don't know about. So, the only way that I found was when you put silicon in the furnace, it generates CO2 and N2 at small degrees. So, basically, I saw this in another person's video and decided I'd kind of do my own version of it, but it's essentially the same thing. So, all I'm doing here, if I can actually get up here, I need to put more, I need to expand and do some landscaping out here because I can't stand out here. Literally, I can't stand it. Okay, so yeah, kind of had to cut out for some background noise there, but basically what I started to say was that I think I'm fighting a cold, so if I sound a little raspy or nasally or anything like that, that's what's going on, so pay it no mind. But essentially what this is doing is we've got chutes set up here. Actually, you know what? I have some of these because I did some off-camera work while I had said background noise going on, so we're just going to go ahead and plop a couple more of these down real quick, I think. Let's see. That doesn't really help me until I actually weld them, does it? So let's go ahead and grab these, and let's grab my torch here. And I actually had to refuel my jetpack, so that was kind of interesting. It was the first time in a while I've had to do that. But yeah, that was kind of interesting because I flew around so much doing some different building stuff. But anyways, so basically all this does is you've got silicon in here. I think all the valves are closed at the moment, so you won't really see much of it. But if I just open this, what's going to happen is it ejects it out, but then it basically cycles it back up and in. As you can see, there it goes again, and then it comes back out. But you'll notice the pressure keeps building up. Now, I don't think you could use this as a way to get it set up where you want it, but it does create N2 and O2, and then you can just open this valve, and then you'll see the pressure kind of draining as it's filling up. And then eventually when you're done, you could just close this, and it'll end up back in here, and then when this bleeds out, and you get done with everything, you end up with more CO2 and N2 than you had a minute ago. Is this legit? I don't know, but like I said, there's no other farmable way to get CO2. The other ones, it's like you could get it through smelting stuff, you can get it through other things, but you can't get CO2 any other way other than smelting things that I know of. So for now, I'm kind of just using this because I don't think it's too cheaty, really. I mean, it's science. Every time you put it in, it somehow gives off more gas, right? That makes sense. So yeah, that's how I've been making more CO2 for the farm, which works okay. So now I want to direct your attention over to this behemoth building over here. Now I have encountered a very large glitch, so if the devs are listening, or if you guys have a good way to get to the devs, because I don't think I'm on their Discord or anything like that, but this is really bad. When you put these here, you cannot walk under them. And what do I mean by that? Well, and I also did this to show an example of you can paint them. So right now, I was planning on extending the airlock up to here because I had to bring this out one to create the shape correctly. Now, one cool thing that I found is if we go... Now, I will say this. Also, when you're doing cylindrical stuff, basically, when you're using cylindrical like this, don't do rounded corners. The rounded does not work with cylindrical. Why can I not get this up here? Are you kidding me? Really? Thank you. These are spherical corners, and they match up fairly well, but the rounded corners do not. They're too straight. Like, they're more like an up and over curve. They're not an arcing curve kind of thing, if that makes any sense whatsoever. You can play around with the blocks and see for yourself. But one cool thing is if you were to put that there, it somehow doesn't block the daylight sensor. I don't know how, but it doesn't. Because I was thinking, oh, I can't put that there. There's a daylight sensor there. But when I did it, the little input chip up top there read it fine. It didn't have any issue with it. The issue is this. I was like, well, I'll still bring out my airlock one more block and extend this out, and then the airlock will be here, and then, you know, it works like it did before. You just have a longer doorway. Or we could always bring it, you know, open this up or whatever. So I did that, and I'm like, okay, everything's fine. But watch this. If we put this here, boom. And yes, I'm still holding the W key. I cannot get through this doorway. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how this works. But something about putting a cladding, whatever these are called, composite cladding, over something, you can't walk under them. At least not one block, distance-wise. So I don't know how that works, but that's essentially kind of breaking at the moment. For example, I didn't even think about it, and I was like, well, I'll just leave that there. I came in through this way, and I went to walk in through here. It wouldn't let me through. It wouldn't let me through the doorway. So I don't really know what to make of this, because we could do a little bit of a experiment here and just place, let's say we just placed like a block here, right? Let's just place one down. Can we walk? See, we can walk under that. So I don't know if it has to do with the way doors connect to cladding or what, because and in case anyone was wondering, I tried this without the iron walls. I was actually putting the iron walls here to see if it would seal it off to where it wouldn't be able to interact with it, and it didn't. Now we could also try the cylindrical like this and put it out here and see if it's that block in particular. Yes. Okay, it does seem to be the cylindrical block that seems to be a problem, not just cladding. It's the cylindrical one for some reason. Now let's try this out. Let's really screw with our heads here. If we were to spin it this way, now it doesn't do it. But does that affect the angle, I wonder? It doesn't look like it affects the angle. So maybe it has to go a certain way. Let's test this out. Okay. Okay. Something is... I don't think that's intended behavior one way or another. I can't see them wanting that to happen. But it does tell me that if you have it flipped the wrong way... Now, good luck trying to figure out what's the wrong and the right way, because I have no idea what the difference was. The angle is the same. There's a lip up here and there's a lip down there. So there's really no way to tell what the quote-unquote wrong way is. But as you can see here, like I said, the logic reader is actually reading while I'm up here. So this is not interfering with the daylight sensor. I'm kind of thinking that's a bit more game type thing. There's probably no science behind that. It's just the way the game works so that you don't have to have everything exposed, probably. And this is one of the big things that makes this kind of cool, is that you can paint it. Am I stuck? I'm stuck. Because I don't think you can paint... Never mind, you can paint all this crap. Okay. So I guess then its big claim to fame is essentially just the ability to do different shapes, like you can do curves and stuff where before you couldn't. So that's interesting, though. They're fun to play around with for sure. And I did most of this. I didn't do like some of just the flat panels, but I did like corners to where it kind of shows how it would look. Not really sure I'm a fan of this part here, but I don't know that I want to enclose the tanks just yet. Also, the other big reason I did that was because the tanks at the moment aren't really blocking the sunlight of the hydroponics room. But if I were to put walls up and everything, I feel like that would block this whole set of sunlight that you get on the back end. So I didn't really feel like doing that. Yeah, so that's basically what's been going on. We fixed the hydroponic setup, I believe. I did tone it down. Let's see. That's still the same. I toned this down to 303 so that I think it's around 25 or 27 degrees that the air kicks on rather than 32 or whatever. I made this little guy to farm up the... Now, actually, I didn't even think about this. This kind of works for input. I put a, whatchamacallit. What is this thing called anyway? It's some kind of bin, I think. And this allows you to... Oh, I didn't even realize you could do that. So you can turn this on, you put something in it, and then you pull the lever to close it. That's right. And then it will inject it into here, and then that flips it into the input. Now, this isn't bad, but right now it's set up on a loop. So once you put something in and it makes something, and then you open it, it's not coming back out. It just keeps spinning. There's no way to, like, reach in here and grab it. So that's not really going to work. It was mostly set up for getting the CO2 farm, essentially. But it really wasn't set up for using it as a furnace, per se. So I do have a bit of a problem here at the moment with mostly base design, in that we've got our tanks over here, we've got the furnace over here, we've got all this piping stuff, but then I have the hydroponics room kind of in the middle, and you want an arc of clear glass so that they get sunlight. So I'm kind of in a pickle there because I didn't really design it very well, that I can't really put stuff here or close that in. So I may end up having to move all that piping. I hope not. But yeah, so that's really weird about the whatchamacallit. Words. Oh, the composite cladding stuff. That if you have it one way, it'll let you walk through it. If you don't, it won't. That's kind of really weird. I'm not sure what to make of that. Also, one minor thing, it's a little thing, I may have forgotten to mention about the most recent update, that if you don't have any of your windows open and you scroll back, we have third person now! How cool is that? Actually, I have to admit, for being an early access game, Stationeers is doing a lot right. Like, a lot of it feels like everything's working really good, and they even mentioned the third-person camera not being something they originally intended to do. And so when you have something that wasn't designed to be third-person, and you're now trying to make a third-person camera, it can be problematic, because the game was never built that way. So I have to admit, like, the enclosed quarters thing here, and still not clipping through walls and doing weird stuff, I have to give credit where credit's due, because that's actually a big deal. What happened? What happened? Why did it clear? Was that not done? That must not have been done. Was it? I got 2 from this, and it put 1 back there. Whatever. I don't know what just happened. I think either that or this wasn't fully grown yet, maybe. But I gypped something. I lost something out of the deal. But yeah, so I'm really impressed with the third-person camera. There's a lot of games that cannot get third-person cameras correctly. And I'm not saying I could do any better or anything, but just it's kind of a thing where most of the time the camera clips through walls or just something. It just doesn't work right, you know. So for it to be a game that wasn't originally intending to have a third-person camera, but in such tight confines able to pull it off as well as it's doing, I really have to... My hat goes off to them for that, because that's a lot of work. And it looks like it's working really well. Now, I will say, indoors you don't see it as much because it's kind of constraining to the character and the walls behind you and stuff. But like from here, you can see that we have a little distance between our character. If you scroll up a little bit, you can get a little closer kind of thing. Again, in close quarters, you're not going to see it as much. And then eventually, when you scroll all the way in, you go back to first person. So if you scroll all the way out, I think that's as far as it'll go. It looks like it, but I don't know, being in close quarters like this. I think that's as far as it'll go out, though. So I'm actually really impressed with the camera, if I'm being honest. Oh, and it does have an alt function. I didn't know if you could do the alt thing like Space Engineers, but if you hold alt, you can look around your character too. Now, we are clipping a little bit into stuff, but mostly that's it riding along and then kind of snapping in between, like in between the lockers. And it looks like it's clipping, but it's not really clipping too bad. And again, being early access, and to already have something like that that they didn't plan on doing and it working that well, again, that's a pretty big feat. They did that pretty well. So yeah, overall we're doing pretty decent. I think the next project, the upgrade of the composite stuff and the third person camera and all that kind of stuff kind of took priority because I originally intended to do something different and then they patched the game and had new features I wanted to show off. In fact, I had more composite stuff to use and I didn't end up using them. And in case anyone was wondering, you can hold 10 to a stack. Just kind of because you can. But yeah, so like for this, let's see, we could do, before we wrap this up, let's see if we can't finish this off. So we could do cylindrical, and there is a cylindrical panel, but I didn't really want to use it because it only seemed to make sense if you were going to go to another curve down on this edge. But if you're going to do multiples like this, where you're going to do multiple straight lines, it didn't seem like it made a lot of sense to do that. So let's see, we could do this, and then we'll bring this down. Part of my OCD says put one there, but I don't really want to waste it for that, so we're not going to. And then we'll do just the regular cladding here and here. And that's a fairly kind of a little bit of a sharp edge, but it works. Okay, and we'll put one there. So that kind of closes that off. And again, we could go ahead and put stuff like here and whatnot, but I'm going to wait on that because I'm not sure how all of this is going to go. Obviously, this kind of stuff probably has to stay where it is, just because I don't really have any other spot for it. I'm also going to, I think, cover these holes up because I keep falling in them, frankly, and I'm tired of it. So, just in any future videos, if I make a comment about I wish I could do something here, just remind me that's a big hole, and that I totally can use it for something. Let's see, what else? Where else could we cover up stuff? Probably, probably like here, maybe. We could probably cover stuff up. I feel like it's a little bit of a waste of iron, but I actually do have a pretty decent surplus right now. I went back and looked, and I think I have, somewhere around 3 more stacks of 50 or something. Oh, and here's an example. So the rounded corners are like this. And then the cylindrical shapes are like this. And so if you look at it, they don't line up. So kind of like I said before, if you're going to be using cylindrical, then don't use rounded, use spherical corners because they talk to each other, the other ones do not. Now, I don't know if you could use... I think you'd have to do rounded all the way, like rounded here, rounded corner, rounded here for that to work. I just ended up using cylindrical. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. I do think it has a bit of a more tapered look. Whereas the rounded is like a bit more... I think I mentioned that before and it didn't come out right. But basically the rounded ones are a bit more of a 90-degree kind of curve. I don't think that's the right measurement, so don't quote me on that, but I hope you know what I mean, that it's more of a clear-cut edge, and the cylindrical has a bit more of a tapered, smoother curve, I think. So yeah, that's kind of how that looks. So it's pretty neat, actually. I think it's kind of a cool feature to have. Like I said, the only thing that you really need to make sure you remember when dealing with the composite stuff is that they do not take the place of iron frames or walls in terms of atmosphere. They do not seal it. I need to also make, I think it's a tool machine. I need to make something that makes me more paint because I'm running out of paint. I see the guys on YouTube all the time, and they've got like just a bajillion cans of paint, and I'm like, I think I need to make more paint. But yeah, so it's pretty cool overall. I'm digging it. So with that, I think we're gonna wrap up this episode for today. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.